So before we start making the sides, I will explain how we are going to do this. So how we make these markers that will help us when we sew together the pieces. So here we put markers, the corners where you have made increases. So here we have two increases. We put the marker to the one that is closest towards the bottom, and in the middle, here in the middle, you have 35. So you divide them in two parts, and this is in the middle. It's number 18. Yeah, here you have 17, and number 18 is a marker. First, we will start making the bottom and the side to the left, and then bottom and the side to the right. So we will make two pieces, we will join it here, and then we'll start working in this direction so that we can make bottom and sides at the same time. So in total we will have 50 rows in each part without trimming, because we will also make trimming, so all the pieces are trimmed. But let's do it one by one. So just make these markers so that when you adjust these pieces, you know where you start and where you go in which direction. Now, if you want to make a size of a bag different, how you can understand how many rows you need. So we make two pieces, two sides together with bottoms, and here we'll make a seam. We'll make a seam here where the blue marker is. So here we need to count amount of stitches starting from the marker here upwards, how many stitches you have here. So you remember that your sides will also have trimming, so +1. And this also, and this will be the number of rows you need. For example, starting with these markers without trimming, I have 101, with trimming 103. So I'll be making 103 rows. That's what is important. And then even if it's not the same, you can stretch it a little bit because it's elastic. So we start making the side. Likewise, the first knot, which is not a loop yet, you don't count it. It's a 0 stitch, so to say. So we cast on 12 chains +1 for starting row. If you have less cord, for example, you have used more for the base. I, for example, used about 1 skein plus several meters, 20-30 meters of another one for the base. So then you will have enough for sides, for trimming, and for sewing all together. If you feel that you have not enough, you can now make less. You can make bottom narrower, so make 10, for example, instead of 12. This will not influence anything. You will just use less yarn if you don't want to buy more. Yeah, but be careful when I will be saying my measurements. I'll be saying the measurements which I use. Just you can know that it's possible to make less consumption of yarn if you make a narrower bottom. So I'll be casting on 12 chains +1 lifting chain. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Starts lifting chain 13. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Yeah, that's right. Now we make single crochets, everything as we did when we were making the base, all the same. So you don't count the first knot, you remember it was our 0. So now we make a lifting chain, turn our work, and we start making our pattern, our basic pattern. You remember we insert the hook, skip the first one of course, and insert the hook into these half loops upwards and make a single crochet. So here it's all the same, just go on working this pattern, same amount of stitches. Don't forget at the end you make this knot into the corner, don't forget about it. Don't forget that here in the first row you have this corner which you can miss it very easily because you can't see it like a proper stitch, yeah, but you have to make it, don't forget about it. You can see it now. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, yeah, 12 stitches. We make lifting chain, start the third row, and so we go on working back and forth like this, and we need to make, starting from the first to the 37 rows like this, just 12 stitches of single crochets. So now you can work on your own till the 37th row, and then starting with 38th you will start making decreases. So make 37 rows and we'll meet. I have made 37 rows that consist each of 12 stitches, and now we will start making rows with decreases. And starting with 38th row, we make one decrease at the beginning and one at the end of the row. As you have already noticed, the decreases we make at the beginning and the end of the row. So you have made one decrease, then you go on working single crochets, and make the next one. At the end we make this decrease, 3 stitches before the end. You see I make out of 2 stitches, make 1, or 2 stitches with 1 top. And the last one here. So here we will already have 10 stitches in a row. I recommend you to mark it with knitting markers. If you, for example, need to count it, you will just know that this was your row where you have made the decrease. It is 38th row. Lifting chain, turning work. Now we make 3 rows, 39th, 40th, 41st. We make without any decreases, we just make 10 stitches in the row following the same pattern. So here you can work them on your own. Don't forget that these areas where you had a decrease in a previous row, you can use a smaller hook because you will have to go through 3 half loops instead of 2. Then you take your normal crocheting hook. So make 3 stitches and we will meet. And 41st row, make lifting chain. We make 42nd. And here we make decreases at the beginning, at the end, and we will get 8 stitches in a row. So here you will get 8 stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? And lifting chain, turn the work. Then again we make 3 rows without any increases or decreases. 43, 44 and 45 we make 8 stitches in the row. Likewise do them and we will meet. Three rows, 8 stitches in each, and then on the 46 I'll show you what we do next. So 45 ready, I turn the work, make lifting chain. Don't forget that you make lifting chain on each row. In 46th row we'll also make 2 decreases at the beginning and the end, and this will be the last decreases that we make here. So we make a decrease, and 1 more decrease at the end of the row. Don't forget that you make this last stitch here in the corner. Make a lifting chain, and now we need to make 4 rows, 47, 48, 49 and 50th. So you will have 6 stitches in each, so 4 more rows, and when you finish them, 1 part side plus half of bottom will be ready. And we will start making the next one. So again, 47 to 50th rows, and we'll meet when you have made 50. So 50 rows are ready. Before you cut the thread, please check that you have 50. You can count them by pairs starting from the very beginning. So let's count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. These were pairs, so we have 50 rows. Cut the thread. So don't hide it, wait, leave it. We will hide it when we'll be sewing it together, when we'll make the trimming. We'll do this a little bit later. So now here you see this part where we have started our work. This is the free end that we have left when we were casting on the stitches. You can undo it if you're making it like I do. You can undo it like this, it will look nicer. This free end you can hide. You can hide it along this edge. Or when you make the trimming, you can hide it when you will be making the trimming or sewing together the pieces. So I think that perhaps now it would be better to hide this free end when you sew 2 pieces together. So this cord, okay, perhaps I will leave it. I have just suddenly had this idea. I'll leave it for now. Now I'll take a smaller crocheting hook and I will take new cord. The second part we will start making at once from this one. So this is where we have started making the first piece. We insert the hook into the edge stitch on the right here, such a vertical braid. We take a new cord here, make a loop, and now we'll be making just single crochets. We'll get 12 single crochets here, and if you have such long ends, you can put them along this row. It will help us to make less openings seen. I use a smaller crocheting hook to make it a little bit tighter, and it just works single crochets around these 2 free ends to make it thicker. 3. Here, if these ends are coming out, then you just put them along. Try to hold them, keep them along. So for us it's important so that we don't have these openings in this row. So this row that we make now, it is preparative row. We are not going to count it as the first row of the next piece. We'll just count it as a preparative row between 2 pieces to help us start the work. This will just make it easier to work and to count. So now when you have 2 ends inside, this row looks much thicker. And it's okay, because we need this for the middle of the bottom. We do not count the first stitch on the side, so remember that we can count this 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We can count these V shapes, vertical V shapes. Here it's easier. Lifting chain. These 3 ends we will also cut and sew, as I have shown you. And now we take markers, mark on both sides this first stitch, this row, which we will not count. So remember that it is our preparative row. We will not count it when we do the second part. And now we will start the first row, and then you continue, because it's absolutely the same. The second piece is absolutely the same as the first one that we have just made. So we make lifting chain, turn our work, and make the first row with this pattern. We find these 2 half loops, we skip the first, everything like we do in this pattern, and make 12 single crochets. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and here in the corner where we have this marker, 12. Just leave the marker there, let it there, so that you know which row you do not count. And then you turn your work and you go on working. You have just made the first row, now you will make the second, and so on till the 50th row, according to the same principle as you did the first part. So you start making decreases from 38th, and so repeat everything as I have shown you when we're making first piece that consists of side and half of the bottom. This you continue on your own, and when you have made it, I then tell you how we do the trimming. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, that's right. So now I will cut this free end. I will slightly burn this with lightener. I will sew them later just to stop them from fraying. Now carefully. What? It's what? So. And so we go on working till 50th row, according to the same principle as we did the first part, and then we will meet. I'll show you how we'll be making the trimming. So, 2 sides and bottoms ready. Now I'll show you how I count the rows here and which side is going to be the right side. So this is the row marked with a marker. I prefer this side where you have this joining row, this additional row. Yeah, it looks so nice. So this can be any side, they're double-sided, so both sides are the same. I just prefer this one. And now we count. I think it's easier to count 2 by 2, 2 rows, yeah, pairs of rows. 1, 2, 3, and so on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. Yeah, so we have 50. This row we don't count. You remember it was our additional row, auxiliary row, we don't count it. 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50. So we have 50 pairs in both, yeah? So now we'll be making the trimming. We will add one more on top here and here, and together with the trimming it will have 103 rows, and that's the amount of stitches that I have in this circumference, 103 stitches. So now I'll show you how we make the trimming. The trimming is really easy, it's actually the same like we did on the base. Maybe even easier. Here I'll show you. Okay, so let's start together and then you can finish it on your own. So here I have stopped making the second piece. Here I will cut the thread. I don't like, so to say, to make up something, so I don't like to continue with the same. It's easier for me to cut it, to hide it nicely, and then start with new cord, new free end. So let's have a look. Like this, where we have this free end. Now I will hide it. We will then work it into the trimming, and this way we'll hide it. So let's take the crocheting hook that we are going to use for the trimming. It can be a slightly smaller hook. We will sew the ends later, at once all the 3 ends. So now let's start the trimming. You can start making absolutely at any point here. I think I would rather start somewhere here on the side, so that when you finish it, it's easier, it's nicer to make a full slip stitch, not on top but on the side. I think it will look nicer. So let's start here. So I take new cord and make a loop, first loop. Then I can hide this free end at once. Next opening, these are the openings between the rows, so you remember that when we work along the rows, we find these openings between 2 rows and work around them. Also try to make sure that the cord hasn't twisted, so untwist it from time to time like this. On the corners we'll be making increases. I'll show you all the increases that you have to make. So we now start making just single crochets into each opening, hiding this free end that you have here along the edge inside the row of single crochets, like this. This trimming adds volume to the bag. The size of the piece will be bigger, of course, so we have to count this. I prefer not to make it tight. I prefer to make such a puffy trimming, but also you need to have enough of cord. So if you are a little bit short of cord, then you can make it tighter. So we go on working like this along the edge, all along, till this marker. So come till this marker here, I'll tell you how we do it, and then we'll continue on the other side. Now we have reached the marker in the middle of the bottom. Now we can take it off. And here we'll make one more stitch here and here on both sides of this additional row. And so we go on working likewise. One stitch in one opening. Now, when you reach the corner, you have a free end. You can hide the free end inside. Why not? If you have it here, you can just hold it alone. It's not very handy, but you have just to hold it and then you fix the end and then it will be easier, like this. Now you can just work it into the trimming. And so you go on working the trimming. And then you'll just sew it to the base as we usually do. Now, when you have reached the first corner, it's the place where we will make an increase. So here is the first row on top. Under it, we have to insert the hook into the braid. In each corner we make 2 stitches. Yeah, that's our increase on the corner. Then under the braids, as you remember, we make till the next corner, make single crochet under 2 half loops, as we usually do. And here also make one and the same in the same and one more in the same opening, that is an increase. Now we turn our work and we continue working along the side, making one stitch in each opening between two rows. And so we make the other side till the next top, and then I'll show you how we finish the top, how we finish this trimming. Here you do likewise on both sides of this row, so all as before. So do this on your own, and then I'll show you how we finish the trimming. So again, I have reached the other corner. Here we make an increase into the corner, 2 stitches into one. Here just go on making single crochets into each stitch. Also don't forget to untwist the cord. In the corner we make an increase. Turn our work, we have several stitches. Here one. And we have to make a false slip stitch. So to make a false slip stitch, you cut the free end. I've already shown you that we need to create this stitch so that it looks like the same. So you find the first horizontal stitch here, horizontal braid, that is, pull this thread and then insert the hook from the wrong side to the right side and insert it upwards, pull it like this downwards, and so here you have your false slip stitch. It's absolutely like all the others, absolutely the same. So now sides and bottom are ready. We have only to hide and sew in all the free ends that we have here. You can do it on your own, I have already shown you. And then next stage we'll be joining together the pieces. But before this, we will insert the louvers, and this I'll also show you. So I have such metal louvers, and it consists of 2 parts, like this. I have put the screws off. I use screwdriver. I have several ones, flat one, cross one. So what is important here? Here you have to insert it. You have an elastic opening, so you insert it on this side first, like this, so that you have no openings. And on this side, it's important that you push your knitted fabric so that the screws will come into the stitch, so that they will hold some fabric. Yeah, don't go on top of it, so you need to fix it. You can find such places where it will be easier to insert the screw, like this. Here, for example, I have one stitch that I can pick with here I have a soft one. So that when you insert the screw, it will hold some stitch. And here an opening for it. It's a little bit difficult to show you on camera. I'll try, but I think it will be easier to do this without a camera, of course. But I hope that you understand that we have to pick up this stitches where we can insert the screws through them to hold it in place. Here you can even insert this piece, use the screwdriver to kind of push the fabric a little bit inside. Oh, it comes off, or later, yeah, it comes off. Now we'll see. So when you match both pieces, you then take the screws and screw them in like this, making sure you have pierced some fabric so that you just hold it in place. Then you can stretch it a little bit like this, so that you don't see fabric inside the louvers. And you'll find the next piece where you can insert the screw and it will be holding some stitch. Like here, for example, I think I'll do it like this. Yeah, that's it. Insert the screw. Like this. And then you push it like this so that you can see them inside. They look neater if you can see them. And the third one, we also need to find this place where we can just pick some stitch and insert this screw. That's ready. One is in place. If you have put it like I say, it will be in place. I understand it's not easy, of course, but it's worth it. Okay, so I have inserted all four and all pieces are ready. Now we have only to join them all together. We join first one side, one front part with side and bottom, and then we attach the other one. Don't forget about these markers that we have here on the bottom of the bag. So you remember that it was the middle, the stitch number 18, which will be the same as these. I'll put a marker here as well, so you match these two central markers. On this side as well. And now we need to count 17 stitches to the right and to the left from this marker. This will be the marker that we will fit together with this one, that we will match together with this one here as well, so that we can match it right and get the right amount of stitches on all the sides. So let's count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. In stitch number 17 I'll put a marker. Let's check whether size is the same. I'll have to stretch a little bit the bottom. You see the bottom is a little bit tighter, so I'll have to stretch it. It's absolutely okay. And so on this side as well, count 17, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 here. And now I'll show you how we join pieces together. At once, please put markers on this side as well. Here you can just follow this row and find stitch number 17 on this piece as well. So you have all the markers, you know what you're going to match together. Before we start sewing together, I want to show you this bag, which is already complete, so that you know how it will look in a finished look. This is the stitch. It's really easy but looks so cool. You see, it's absolutely amazing, I think, and it goes along the contour here, all along. We will sew it on both sides. It's the same. I'll show you one side so that you can then do both sides. So for sewing the sides, we will need darning needle. It can be plastic or metal, doesn't matter really, and you need a lot of cord. The free end we insert. It will be fraying, but if you sew it, as I have already shown you, it will be easier to work with it. You see, it will start fraying like this. So I prefer to sew it or to burn it. But if you burn it, it will be pricking. When you make a stitch, it will be pricking the cord. So I recommend to sew it, and then you'll stop it from fraying. It will be easier to work with it. So as I have already shown you, I take some thread. Really easy. You have these little loops here, so you need to try and pierce them. Join them. You can join them in the round or several stitches, it's no matter. How you have just to close these loops and stop them from coming off. You can insert it like when you are knitting. And maybe make several stitches just to make sure. And so like this, it will be much easier to work with it. Now I'll just cut the thread. And we can start sewing pieces together. You can start on each side. Doesn't matter where you start. Let me see. Well, I think it doesn't matter. I'll start with this one. So we have markers that we need to match. They show us where these places will be matching together. This one together with a stitch in this one with this, and this one with this place. So if your markers do not match, 1 or 2 stitches here on top, it's not a very big mistake. So sometimes it happens, I have counted it several times, 1 or 2 stitches is missing, so you can just add a little bit where you see on the side where you have less stitches. You can just make 2 stitches into 1. I'll show you in the process as we go. So here the principle is the same. We join on the right sides, so you see this is the right side and that is the right side. Inside are wrong sides, yeah, wrong sides are inside. We start joining from the corners. It's easy to see the corners here. So we need to insert darning needle from this one into the first stitch, inside it, from the inside, yeah, you see, from the inside, so that the free end will remain inside. We'll sew it later. Then you find the first stitch. Let's have a look. First braid on the corner here, this one. As here I have such a trimming, it was a little bit peculiar in this place. I have this braid and also have this half loop, so I will join it like this: braids and half loops. It's just to start. This I do only to start this seam, to make it look nicer. Then this working thread we untwist. So here we are very attentive, make sure it's not twisted. Again, let's double this stitch only here, only at the beginning, and we go one step lower under the half loop. One half loop on one side and one half loop on the other piece, on the other side. Now we get such horizontal stitch. Make sure you haven't twisted. Here it's very important. Then we go on finding next half loop, upper half loop of this braid. You see, we inserted inside, and here we have some half loops that are next to each other, and here we go one, not here, you see, here we go one stitch lower. So we make a horizontal stitch into two half loops that are one next to the other, and then we pierce one stitch lower. So I prefer to make it loose. I don't want to make it too tight. And the next, likewise, here. That's just an ordinary stitch, which we use for sewing fabric, for example, but here it looks very decorative on these stitches. So that's it. You go on working like this till the marker. It's absolutely not difficult. Just go on stitching stitch by stitch all along. If you see that the stitches do not match, you can either skip one stitch or make two stitches into one. Okay, for example, let's make it like this. I'll just show you. If your stitches aren't matching, you make one stitch, and then, for example, on this side you have less stitches, so you use next stitch on the other piece, but you use the same stitch on this piece, and like this you compensate that on this side you have less stitches. You see, it looks absolutely okay. And then you go on working like this. So I have just shown it to you. For example, maybe it's better to do this there below. So I'll undo these stitches. So I'll undo this because I have just shown it as an example. If I get the result that I do not match the stitches, then I'll do it a bit later. For now, I don't know for sure. Maybe it will be okay. So now I continue working like this till the next marker. And on the corner, on the marker, I'll show you what we do next. So work till the corner, till the next marker. I think that this stitch looks very nice and decorative. So now I have nearly niched the corner where our markers are, and I see that I have one stitch less on this side, so I had to make several times, as I have shown you at the beginning. And now I will have to make into one stitch 2 loops so that markers match. Here and the previous one I will make them, and I'll make it into one stitch on this side. So I inserted here and into this one where the pink marker is, you see, on this side, and then I'll insert into the next stitch on the front piece, but the same stitch where the pink marker is. Now you can take off the markers. You can tighten slightly these loops to make sure they look okay, like this. This cord is elastic, so even if you have 1 or 2 stitches difference, it will look okay. And now we continue working like before till the next markers. Now you will be working on this horizontal line. And so like this, work into each next stitch. Check several times whether it looks okay. Yeah, I think that it looks okay. So like this, we go till the next marker. Make sure that these markers are matching, and then you can go on working till the next corner. Here we have 17 stitches, one exactly next to the other. Here they are matching, so here there will be no problems. On the sides, if you have some things that don't match, you correct them as I have shown you. Okay, let's move till the next corner, and then again I'll show you how we do it on the corner. I decided to show you a close-up on the corner. So what do we have here? Here and here I have like this. One stitch, then I insert the hook into the stitch with orange, so I can take off this one. I insert it into this orange marker stitch, but the same stitch on this side, like this. We will make 2 stitches kinda into one on this side. Make sure I haven't twisted the cord. Insert into the next, and then you just go on working like before. And then you go on working till the top. We have made the bottom, now we do the sides. If the sides is not matching, just stretch one piece, and like here you can correct it with the number of stitches that you make. So we go on moving on the side. You can also count the stitches to make sure that they are matching, or if they are not matching, then you will be prepared to make several stitches into one to make the amount. Here, for example, on front I have 2 stitches more than on the side. Also spread them somewhere here. For example, you can make 2 stitches on this side into 1 stitch on that side. So now I have nearly reached the top of our bag. You see it's not matching, half of centimeter, maybe less. I'll stretch it, don't worry. And here also I'll have a look. Here you can, first of all, look visually so that it looks okay. And then you can choose the place where you will end it. So you can make an additional stitch, for example, here I have just several millimeters perhaps, yeah, so it's easy to correct it. So the most important thing is that on top you have it on one level. Here, for example, I can take this stitch and this stitch, or this one and this one, so that I can join it. So I think it will look better if I make it this and this one. Let's give it a try. And let's have a look how it will be. And then into this one, also together with a back half loop, just to make it a little bit thicker. Here tighten it a little bit so that your stitches aren't loose. And again here. Repeat into the same stitch to make a stronger stitch here on top. It's important because the handles will be attached here. So 2 sides are ready. Now we return it here, and then we leave the free end inside. Then we'll hide it on the wrong side and sew it into the base, as we usually do it. We will hide it then here, right? And sew the free end. So now our first front or back side is ready. And we will sew like this the other part. Likewise, we turn it to this side, we take our second piece, put it like this. You start here, then move to the corners. On the corners work like here, just what's different, that is here I took off the markers, so here you have this one in the center. Count 17 stitches and put a marker. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Insert the markers into the 17th stitch. And here also. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. But here the previous one, and this one will go into this one, just like we did in the previous side. Yeah, so we make 2 into 1. And here all the rest you put the marker 17 stitches here, and then you sew it like we did with the other side. So the base for this bag is ready. We have folded sides like this inside to make it thinner on top. So it looks like this. Now we'll have only to add the handle and insert the magnetic button. Now I'll show you how we sew in the magnetic button. I have already sewn all the 3 ends that I have. I have first hidden them, then sewn them, so you can see that everything is absolutely okay on the inside. So let's insert the magnetic button. So I have such a magnetic button that you can sew in. Pay attention, it should be a sewn in magnetic button with such openings like a button. I think it's really easy, of course, but I'll show you how I sew it. With polyfiber cord, it's really easy to pierce it, it's easy to sew it, so there are absolutely no problems with this. So we take a sewing needle with some thread in matching color. And we decide where we want to make it. We find the center usually. Find the center here on both sides. So you can count the stitches or you can measure the stitches, doesn't matter. I think that I can find the center visually. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So number 5 will be the center. And here as well. So it doesn't matter where you start, on which side you start first. A little lower, maybe not straight at the top. And so you can start sewing it like this. So first, you can make a knot or you can make a loop, like using a loop method. I prefer loop method. So if you have a knot, then you hide it inside. And so like this, you pierce it through and sew it like you usually sew on a button. Just make tiniest stitch here and return the needle almost into the place where you have pierced it, and then you will not see it on the right side. And so like this you sew it. I'll show you one and then you can repeat the same with others. And so like this we sew it to the base. So I have sewn one part. Now I need to go to the next. I pierce it through like this, but come out of the space indifferent, so I make kind of diagonal stitch next to the other opening of this button. And so like this I sew this part, and then third and the fourth, and sew it into all 4 openings. So likewise, sew it here, then the next one and the next one. So you sew this button and then I'll show you how I sew the other one. So I have sewn this part. The knots I do not make, I just prefer to pierce it several times through the base to fix a thread in the base several times like this. Cut it and it will remain in place. You don't have to make the knot if you don't like it. And then I just cut the thread. And likewise I sew the lining, I don't make the knots there as well. This one is ready. Now you need to close it and then find the right place for the second part of the button. Like this. I have made it all flat, straight, like this. And now have a look where this second part of the button is. You have to make the other on this. You can mark it or just remember. I can just put some sewing needle there to remember where you have to sew this second part. Like this, so you know that you will sew it here and here. And so now you sew the second part. Like this. At this level, you sew this part and it's ready. If you make a knot, you can also hide it inside some stitch. Sometimes I do a knot and hide it inside the stitch, and then just sew this like I have shown you on this side. Then on this side, I'll take it off. And likewise move to the next one and the next one. I will not show this on camera. I think that you already understand how we sew it. And after you have made the lining, after you have sewn the button, you will sew all the free ends and we'll start making the lining. So I have sewn a magnetic button on, and now we'll start making the lining. I'll show you how to cut it and how to sew it into the bag. First we need to measure the bag, and then according to your measurements, according to your sizes, you need to sew it, and then sew it into the bag using the invisible seam. All the measurements we do inside. We start with the base. You can take some sheet of paper and write down your measurements. So here we have 2 pieces. Let's draw them like this. 2 pieces that will have this shape. That is for the front and back pieces. And we will have also a long rectangle that will go to the sides and to the bottom. So we will have 3 pieces of fabric in total. And we'll measure for this part. We will have 3 measurements. width on top, then bottom, and width on the widest part of this bag. Here, where the bag is the widest. Somewhere here, so you have to find it on your bag. So that here the lining is enough for the bag. And so we will need also to measure the height of the bag. And then you can measure here to see at what height you will have this widest point, widest area. And now as to this part, it will be the width of the bottom and the length of this piece we will do after we have cut this piece, because this will go like this, the round, this central piece. So I have explained you schematically. Now I'll make all the measurements and show it to you, of course, step by step. So first measurement that we'll need is the width on top. For this, it will be easier if you can mark here with some of sewing pins this edge. This will be the line where you will be sewing the lining in. So I start sewing here. So for this, from one corner, I will start measuring exactly from the corner here. So we have quite a deep corner, so start measuring straight from the corner. And like this, it's a little bit difficult for me to show it for you on the camera, so I'll do it without a camera. I'll just show you how I measure, yeah, like this, along this one line, from one corner to the other corner, till the next one here. And in the corner also, so right till the corner. So I have already measured, it is 43 centimeters. To this 43 we will add 3 centimeters for the seam allowance, because we will fold it and make a seam allowance on both sides. So it will be 46 centimeters. Here we measure also lower part. Also I'll show you, like, you measure and then I'll measure without a camera in front of my head. So you measure it here starting from the corner, you go along the lower part of the bag and like this, following this line. Here between the bottom and the base, and also till the corner. Here I got also 43 plus seam allowance, this will be 46. So you might have your measurements, you might have different size of bag, but in general upper and lower parts will be the same, more or less. Now find the widest part here. So this will be approximately at this part, which is the widest part of the bag here. Measure it from the inside. Approximately here. From one corner to the other corner. Here I got 54 centimeters plus 3 centimeters for the seam allowance, that's 57 centimeters. Height. we also start measuring here from the spin where we will start sewing the lining, go down like this. Then we go along the bottom and we get 21 here. plus 3, 24 centimeters. So these are the measurements for this piece. So here approximately 10 to 12 centimeters is the height of the widest part. You'll be drawing this by hand, so you don't say that it will be exact measurement. This will be approximate measurement, but you still need it. Maybe if you're professional you can do it exactly. I'll do it approximately so that it fits. So we got two pieces that have these measurements, and when we already have them, we iron them, and then we measure the circumference for this part. Now we need to measure the width of a side. So if I start sewing the lining on this level where the decreases started, so you will have to measure the width here. I will make this lining like rectangle. I'm not going to make it lower, narrower. So I have measured it here. It's 15 centimeters plus 3. 15 plus 3, 18 centimeters. It will be exactly on the part where the narrowing just starts, so I can leave it as a rectangle, not make it narrower and then wider again. So the length of this piece will measure when we have the first two. Now I have got the first two pieces. Now we need to take our measuring tape and, like this, along the contour. So let's take one. We need to place it along this contour to measure the length of this side. So we need to make 1.5 skipping because they will be folded. So here you can do without skipping, we'll just be not adding 3 centimeters. So we measure it like this, starting from the top, but I try to go 1.5 centimeters from the edge, like this. When you have placed it like this, you see that approximately the circumference will be 98 centimeters, almost 98. So 98 centimeters will be the length of this. So that's taking into account 3 which we have added. So now we have two pieces, front and back, and we make one piece that has these sizes, and we'll start sewing it together. So when all the lining is cut, it's really difficult to show it on camera. The color of lining is such brownish, cool toned brownish, and it looks pink, which is very odd. But okay, now we will start first. We will make stitches on top. We take our lining, fold it. This will be the base, front or back, doesn't matter. I'll take some sewing pins. Upper edge we fold at 1.5 centimeters like this, and place sewing pins. I usually use sewing pins to fix it and then make a seam. It's much easier to do it like this. So I'll show you on one part, the other you'll do exactly the same. So we have folded it to the wrong side. Likewise, you do it on the other side, on the other piece. Also on top you fold it to the wrong side and pin it in place. And then you'll make a seam along these pins. And so we move till the end. Now, when you have pinned these two sides, you make two seams. If you have a tag, you can now attach the tag on one of them in the center, and that will be your back part of the lining. Then I'll show you at once the same seam that you have to do on the side piece. Here you will have to take the shorter part here and also fold it and pin it. (1.5 centimeter) fold and pin in place. On both sides, where you have top, pieces, it will be on top of a bag, fold it to the wrong side, insert the pins, on the other side as well. So now we can make all these seams where we have put the pins. Now we make all the seams that go on top of the lining, on top of the bag. Here and here. And then we will meet and go on. So I have made all these seams on top of the lining. And now we'll need to make two seams where we will sew first part with the side and then the other part with the side and the bottom, of course. We need to put it right side to right side like this. Make 4 stitches. So let's take our sewing pins again and also pin it in place. Also about 1.5 centimeter along the edge. I think I'll add a lot of pins so that it's easier for me to make a seam. Then you can at once make such a thing. So you start on that side, then you start on this side, so that if 1.5 centimeter more or less, you can fix it on the bottom, not on the sides where it will be visible. So start on this side as well. We need to do this to make sure that the edges will be matching, because it's super important that on top the edges of lining are matching. And then you can spread it evenly. There, when you have a corner, you will have to make a little fold or two. Now we turn it and go on. So after you have pinned it, you make a seam here. On the corners you can make little creases, little such folds. It will be okay. And so we go on. Add more pins, it will be easier for you to sew. Here I have almost finished. Almost. And then on the corner again make little creases. I think somewhere here I'll make it. Okay, now we make the seam here or along the line that we have pinned, and we start the second part. I have made the seam on that side, and now I want to show you that how it looks from the inside. Quite nice. Okay, so now we take the other part, and likewise we have to adjust it like this to the side, right side to the right side, yeah, like this. And so like this we insert the fins, also start from top on one side, top on the other side, and then go on moving to the bottom. And so on and so on. Skip 1.5 centimeter. Like this, several more. And then start on the other side to make sure that on top they'll be matching. One more. So then continue on this side along the bottom like we did with the first part and make a seam. So I have fixed it with sewing pins, you see now. It looks like this, so we have to make this long seam along this line, and then we can start sewing it into the back. So I have made all the seams on the lining finally, and now we will insert it into the back, and I'll show you my way to sew it into the back. It's a seamless sewing. So we insert it into the bag, and I will also first pin it in place with some sewing needles. I always start here where the label is, because I want it to be in the center, and so somehow like this, pin it in place. along the perimeter, then go to the corners. Here you spread it attentively so that the sides are matching. I have made a zoom in so that you can see I pierce the knitted fabric like this and then pierce the fabric again. So we move along one line on one level, and then we'll meet when I have inserted all the pins. So I have spread it inside, I have pinned it in place to make it easier to sew it. And now we start sewing. I always start here where the label is. So I'll take this first pin. I use some thread in matching color, of course. I will first fix the thread inside the knitted fabric as I usually do without any knots. Or I'll use a loop method. Here, if you have two strands of thread, you can make a loop and just like this fix it with the loop method. So we need to pierce it on top of the lining. I'll make a zoom in. So we have this place where we have folded the lining, right? And you need to pierce it with a needle exactly on top of this fold, exactly here, which you created when you folded the fabric. Then you pull the needle inside this fold and come out several millimeters further. About 5 millimeters will do. And then pierce the bag. Yeah, you see, you have pierced it through. Here you return it exactly where you have came out of this fabric, right? But on this side you come a little bit further, 5 to 7 millimeters, so you kind of make this diagonal stitch. And so like this you move. You insert it into the top of this fold again, 5 millimeters, and then again pierce through the knitted base. Pierce it through the bag, make the tiniest stitch on this side so that it's invisible. I'll show you how I start. I'm not going to film it all, because here you have to take your time. It's a long process. And as you go, you take off sewing pins, of course. And you see, it's absolutely seamless. You can't see where it was sewn. When you have reached this point where we have started, you'll just hide it again into the base without any knots, just make several stitches there and back and cut the thread, and that's it. That will be ready. So sew it into the bag and we will install the handle and our bag will be ready. And then you can enjoy using this wonderful bag. So I have sewn in the lining and I have already fixed the thread as I did before when I was sewing magnetic button, and so that's the way how it looks inside the bag. And I have already attached a shoulder strap. I use leather handle and such round lobster clasps. This one is a little lighter, the leather is a little bit lighter, but it has the same tone, the same color as the bag, so I think it will look nice together. So our masterclass is ready, and this is the finished look. I'm thankful that you watched this masterclass, you have chosen it, and I hope that everything was clear and you have enjoyed making this stylish bag, and now you can enjoy wearing it. So I wish you a lot of creativity and inspiration, new knitted bags. See you in one of our new lessons. I hope that you liked this one and you enjoyed creating this bag together with me. So please find my YouTube channel. You can find there some free lessons, and in Instagram as well. So join me on Instagram and I'll be ready to see your ready bags. So see you and good luck. Bye. This was Oksana Rudko and my brand La Accessory.